Hey guys, Lizardlea here for Hope Day 3. Here is the progress from Day 2. So, I think I'm going to finish today. David and I have some errands to run, so even if I don't finish today, the next day that I work on it, I'm going to finish it, and I'm just going to publish them as one video, because it's just the back stitching at this point, and the beading. And I don't think it's worth it to do more than one video for that. I haven't painted them, but my nails, other than this one, are all long. Like, oh, look at that. Ooh, I need to be a hand model for a day, minus my thumb. I'm tired, but I am excited to work on this, so I'm going to do that.
Alright, so today we're talking about a video game David and I played called Tunic. It's basically Legend of Zelda, but you're a fox. Instead of being a human Link, you're a fox Link, and it's so cute and it's so precious. It is riddled with puzzles and intriguing, I don't know, like fresh, brand new for me puzzles. Like, I've never seen puzzles done like that before. And so it was insane. And I loved it.
Yeah, to give a few more points about this, the main point of the game is that nobody speaks a known language. It's this weird gibberish that if you want, you can try to translate, but it's not... It's translatable, but it's not a simple replacement cipher. It's not like A, this symbol equals A, that symbol equals B. So when you go and, read signs or occasionally talk to people...
One word on it will be in English, maybe.
Maybe. There's a few where they're in English, but most of them are just
gibberish,
gibberish. So you don't know exactly what's going on, but because you've probably played games before, you can kind of figure out, okay, I'm the air quotes good guy, and I'm going to go do the thing and beat the bad guys and, save the princess who's clearly locked in this, weird prism of death thing.
I mean, I thought she was either our mom or, a queen, but yeah.
Whatever
okay.
she is, yeah.
I don't know, that's another thing is, the storyline isn't clear. At least it wasn't to me. Because, yeah, I walked away from that thinking, oh, yeah, that was his mom. But maybe it wasn't. I don't know. It's weird. But you have to... What is it? You start with the third page of a manual? It's not the cover or the first or second page. I think it's third or fourth.
Yeah, it's the third or fourth page of the manual.
Yeah, and then you go through and you collect more pages. And there's 40? 60 pages to this manual.
Well, I mean, the thing is that each page is 2 pages, though, kind of like in that classic,
Yeah, so if you get page 1, you also have page 2.
Yeah.
So you begin with page 3, and you flip it, you also have page 4. And
so
the biggest puzzle of the game is literally the manual.
Yes, so before we get into that, the game... Again, in the off chance there's someone who's like, ooh, this sounds like it might be interesting to me, stop.
Literally stop and go into it right now.
The more we say, the less interesting the game will be to you if you actually play it. Because, unfortunately, it's one of those games that's just very hard to discuss without spoilers. And so we'll go from, light spoilers to heavy spoilers throughout this because there's just certain things that are really, really interesting. It starts out, again, very standard Zelda. You have no weapon, the enemies are dangerous, you're going to be able to collect power-ups, you go and find a weapon, you find the sword, you find the shield.
And you find a stick first.
Yeah, you find a stick first. And you realize that just like normal Zelda, you can map certain buttons to certain actions. So, you can put your sword on, X or Y or B. You can put your stick on X or Y or B. The shield's always left bumper or whatever, and there's always a dodge roll, because it's a little bit like Dark Souls in that regard, that there is a stamina meter, and you can run out of stamina and whatnot.
You can die, too.
Yes, you can.
And then if you go back to where you died, you can touch your ghost and get your money back.
Yeah, well, when you die, you lose 20 gold, so it's not all your gold. And yes, if you touch your ghost, you get your 20 gold back.
And there's like a little echo that hurts enemies nearby. Mm-hmm. So if you died in a boss fight, cool, get the boss back to you again and hit your echo. Yeah. It'll hurt him a little bit.
And it'll stun him, so you can really
That's true. That's actually helpful.
So yeah, there's a lot of really clever stuff going on, and the map design is stellar, because what really makes a Zelda or a Metroid-like game fly is how good is the map design. You know, how much am I being breadcrumbed to the proper area? How much am I like, oh, that's cool to look at? Oh, is this interesting? Oh, is this fun? You're like, oh, what's this over here? Oh, wait, I didn't know I could go that way. Like, all sorts of little things like that. So, again, probably final warning before it's just spoiler palooza. If any of this sounds remotely interesting to you, and I promise you it's like very, 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 very good, and in a lot of ways we can't easily talk about, and ways that you might not expect, play it.
Yeah, honestly, like, so Zelda Ocarina of Time is my favorite game of all time. Like, barring the D&D games I have now, like Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, and whatnot. That is my favorite, Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask is number 2. And honestly, Tunic is really far up there. Because the puzzles were just... As soon as you learn about them, they're intuitive. Like, you figure it out and you're like, holy crap, that makes perfect sense. Why didn't I think of that before? Yeah. It's perfection.
There's a lot.
And I didn't feel like I was being spoon-fed. Like, I actually had to stumble upon things, and it was amazing. I loved it. I love puzzles, but I also love just...
Like, there's multiple layers to the puzzles, too. So, like, yeah. Okay, just to go heavy into spoilers. First of all, one of the things you figure out fairly early on, especially if you've ever played one of these before, is like, oh, they're doing perspective tricks. Like, there's a pathway here that the character could see if I was at their height, but because I'm, you know, at this weird upward third-person angle, I can't see the path, but I can walk there. And you learn pretty on to start investigating for those.
Yeah, so, like, you'll go behind a wall, and you'll see a shadow. Your character won't be his green and orange self anymore. He'll be a shadow. So you can see, like, oh, yep, I'm continuing on the map. So...
Yeah, and so, like, that's the first level of it, and you're like, oh, okay, this is classic Zelda stuff. And, you know, as a classic Zelda person, maybe you're trying to bomb everything or whatever, or maybe you're trying to, like, poke walls or cut grass or whatever you want to do. But what essentially happens is the game does the standard Zelda routine of go to an area, get a power-up, lets you get to another area, lets you get another power-up, lets you get to another area, lets you get to another power-up, and you can sequence break the heck out of this if you really know what you're doing, but you probably won't, at least on your first time through, because...
You just won't know the puzzles.
You won't know how the other ways to get around. So, as you do this, you fight bosses who are really well designed. For the most part, one I think is a little boring / finicky, given the librarian. He's a little... like, a lot of it's just waiting for him to get to a point where you can hurt him, because most of he's flying around the arena, and while there are ranged attacks in this game, you can't do a ton of them.
Yeah, because they use magic.
So, it's sort of like waiting for him to get close enough so you can wail on him, while just dodging all of his attacks. But, he's still cool looking.
Oh, absolutely.
And the ambient storytelling going on all this time is just phenomenal. Like, you're wandering around this world, seeing things, getting hints of things, slowly starting to kind of understand what's going on. And to be upfront about it, by the end of the game, I still don't really know what's going on, but I have a much better idea of, like, oh, this is maybe not good, and that's probably bad, and oh my god, what about this? And there's a lot. So, the thing is that you finally free the princess, and again, massive spoilers, she becomes the final boss. And she basically kills you immediately.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, like, she just hits you, like, twice and you just die. And at this point, you've got a whole bunch of health saved up. You've got all this stuff.
Yeah, so, like, if you begin with 1 bar at the very start of the game, with 1 bar for health and 1 bar for stamina, by the time you get to this point, or at least when we got there, we had, what, 3 or 4 bars of health, mana and stamina. Like,
Yeah.
everything was quadruple what it started.
And so when you die, you go to this like night realm that you've gone to a few times. Like you can get to through a few other ways. You'll learn about praying eventually. Where you hold...
Oh, yeah. I
So
thought...
like one of the cool things to make clear here is everything you can do in the game, you can do from the very beginning. Like there are a lot of mechanics you don't even know exist until the game tells you because you find a manual page or you figure something out. But up until that moment, you don't know to do it. But you could have done it at any moment prior to that if you did know. And so with that in mind, you wind up in this world that you've visited before through a mechanic that's kind of like that, where at first you don't know it exists, and then you finally figure it out. And lo and behold, this is like the nighttime. You're a ghost now. And you're going through this whole world again as this ghost.
And there are other fox ghosts everywhere.
Yeah. And again, they speak gibberish. And they, you kind of can get to new areas and whatnot. And you eventually get your stats back through a rather complicated means. And you also get, most importantly, this halo thing.
Yeah.
Which turns your roll into a teleport. So now
It's
you can
so
teleport. And it's really, really, really clever design. Because...
The bridges are gone when it's nighttime.
Well, not just that. It's not only like, oh, now I can now go back to the places I've been. But what's really interesting is, by the end game, at this point, you can go fight the boss if you want. You are geared up, you're ready to go, you can fight her, and yes, being able to teleport is a great way to make her an easier fight. You can probably beat her immediately after that. Like, actually, you get the teleport pretty quickly, and then you can go get the rest of your stats back, so you can fight her at any point once you get the teleport, and possibly win. You might be able to win without getting the teleport at all, although I doubt it. I think she's got a few moves that are purposely, like...
Well, I mean, and she has multiple forms.
Yeah, but I think...
that makes it real difficult.
Yeah, but if you are aware of certain things... Anyways, whatever. So you could fight her, but instead you go and get your stats and then you fight her, and in theory you beat the game. But if you've been paying attention at all, like Liz and I were, you have already put together that something is amiss, and that beating her as is not going to get you the good ending. Which, spoiler, it doesn't. The idea is then you become locked in the prison and the whole cycle repeats itself again.
And you become her.
Or something.
You age in the cage that she was in.
Yeah.
And try to defeat the person who tries to free you.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Again, it's very unclear what exactly is going on,
Yeah.
although I'll get into that later. So... The reason the teleport's brilliant is because it lets you basically bypass enemies. You don't have to fight them anymore, and there's no point to. You don't really need money. You don't need, there's no XP in this game. You don't really need to, like, clear them out so you can explore the area, because the entire back half of the game is puzzles, 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 puzzles. It literally goes from a Zelda/Dark Souls game to one of, if not the best puzzle games I've ever played. It's up there with Myst, Riven, what are the other ones I love? Outer Wilds. Like, it is easily holding its own with other puzzle games. And my understanding is the dev was somewhat inspired by Fez, which I've personally never played, which is a puzzle game as well, platformer game that has puzzles. And this one has, like, the kind of puzzles where, like, at first you see one thing and you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of neat. And you go, oh, wait, I could do this here. And then you go, oh, wait, I could do this here. And I could do this here. And oh my god, this is that. Oh, wait, but this is here. And then, like, we spent, 2 days of just being completely paranoid lunatics? Like, you literally are, like, putting string around the map. Like, okay, this will connect to here, which will go there. Okay. And then we can write this down.
You just lied, but that was the truth. We had... 4 pages front and back of notes?
Yeah, which I've never, right, because I can't.
There were no strings, but there was a lot of writing,
Yes.
and a lot of paper, and a lot of pencil
And
work.
it all feels understandable.
Oh, absolutely.
There were very few puzzles where I was
2 puzzles where we were like, okay, we just can't get this. We understand it, but we're not quick enough, we're not good enough, whatever.
Yeah, one of them was sort of a geometry thing where they show a rotating object of sorts, and you have to kind of figure out from the rotating object what you need. And we had the right idea in that was the solution, but we just couldn't quite translate it right. And so we confirmed we had the right idea and then just looked up the answer. And we're like, oh, okay, so we're close.
It's moving clockwise, so you're like, okay, when a corner comes up, do you do right and then left, or do you only do the left when it turns? Like, it was, yeah, I could not get it, and I tried for like an hour,
Yeah.
so I cheated on that one.
Yeah. And there was maybe one other that was like that. And there's one other that sort of requires you to eventually translate the language, but that's the very last one, and so we looked that one up as well, because I didn't feel like translating the language.
Well, you didn't even get anything out of it.
You get the last manual page.
When you go to that room after you get all the statues,
right. But
that doesn't give you anything, does it?
No, but you need something else before. But it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with one of the manual pages requires understanding the language. Oh no, you're right. It was to get the last golden thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. I don't even know if you need those, because once you get 6 of them, you can get to that place anyways.
Yeah.
What we're talking about, for those of you who have no idea where this has gone, is so you do all these puzzles and maybe you figure them all out, because I don't think you need to translate anything for those, and then you can get the real ending. You get the good ending. But
by following the golden path.
Yes. And so the thing is that you will have probably noticed there's a room that sort of has these trophies that are not a part of the golden path progress. They're their own special thing. Or are they? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. Point is, once you get enough of them, there's this big glowy thing in the middle of them. And you go in there and it takes you to like this tower where if you do a certain thing, which I'm going to not spoil, we've kind of given light hints about it through this conversation, but the runes around the castle will change, and seemingly with no logic. Like, it's not like you're cycling through something, it's not like it seems like they're just randomly changing, and it doesn't help that these runes are perspective. It's a perspective-based language. You looking at the letters from certain angles can change what letter it is, which is both brilliant and terrifying. And none of this matters to beat the game. To be clear, you can have 100% fun with this game and not even find half of this. I think it's still a great game.
I agree.
But Liz and I really like the puzzles, so we followed this all the way to its conclusion until it was like, okay, you need to translate the language and figure out this one particular puzzle, which we almost got, but we screwed something up. And then after I found out, I was like, oh yeah, that's a common mistake for reasons I know due to coding nonsense. But the point is, it takes you to a website. Because there's an ARG. So for those of you who don't know, an ARG is an alternate reality game, which is basically kind of a marketing / thing where it's like, hey, even though this game came on like a disc and you're playing it on your computer, now you go to this website and that website has clues, which leads you to this other website or this other thing, or you download a file and you run it through an encoder, and this is the sort of stuff that is for the hardcore fans. Literally, in groups of people getting together on things like Discord, throwing ideas at the wall and seeing what stick, coming up with crazy stuff, trying new things. There's so much extra hidden content related to this. And yet, we didn't see any of it. There's like one thing we could have seen that I didn't bother to go back and do. And yet all this is there because there's maybe some really cool, clever thing that the guy... Like, there's all so much about, like, weird story stuff, lore stuff. It's fascinating. So this game takes you down a complete rabbit hole. Foxhole. Because he's a fox.
Foxhole?
Foxhole.
Foxhole. That makes more sense than what I heard.
She heard fox.
I thought you were making like a fossil joke, and I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, but no, the whole point is this game takes you down an incredible rabbit hole of just so many moments of, wait, I can do that? Does that mean I can do this? Or wait, what about that? Or, oh my gosh, that's how you do this, is you do that. Or, oh wait, with this we can now do that. Or, oh my god, I never noticed this. Or, oh, now I know where we could go here. Like, so many cool, or, oh yeah, this means that that's there, which means that's over there, so the direction is this, which means you do... It's just really, really well executed. And again, I play a lot of puzzle games, not a ton, but a lot, and I think it's one of the best I've ever played at keeping you interested. Not just being like, okay, I theoretically know what to do, but this is going to be really frustrating to figure out. Like, think-ahead puzzles, where it's like, okay, like sliding those cubes around, like they're all in a grid, and they make a picture if you slide the cubes the right way. Mm-hmm. Or squares, not cubes. I always hated those, because you just really need to think really, really far ahead. Like, okay, I move this here, then that can go there. Then I move this here, and that can go there. Then I move that, does that, oh no, wait, now I have to... That's not fun. But this was a lot of like, oh wait, now I understand this, so I can do that. Oh no, wait, I think I get what this does, so that would relate to this, and oh my gosh, what about... And it just keeps going. And it's incredibly good.
There were so many light bulb moments.
Yeah.
And I will say, at least for me, I always have enjoyed playing games with other people, whether it's one player or two player. This game is one player. But Dave and I absolutely played that game together. There were times, like, I'd say, like, 75% of the time you had the controller and 25% of the time I did.
Yeah,
but
possibly.
I still felt like I got the full experience from that game.
Yeah.
Like, that was spectacular. And so, I'm just saying, if you and someone else that's playing this game with you doesn't think the same way, that is good.
Yeah.
Because there were some puzzles that were really easy for him and made no sense to me, and there were some that were the opposite.
Yeah.
So
It's a very, very
that's how we
fun
got
game.
through them.
Would recommend 10 out of 10, even now that we've lightly spoiled, well, not lightly, we've heavily spoiled certain things. We haven't spoiled some of the, oh my gosh, you can do that moments in this game. So I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Absolutely. It is one of my favorite puzzle games. If not my favorite.
Yeah,
Like,
it's hard
it
to
was
say.
spectacular. I keep wanting to play it again, and then like, no, I need to play something else. I need to play something new. I need to stop. There we go. You guys play Tunic. It's great.
And that is the end of Hope Day 3. I got 1 hour and 10 minutes of footage. So, it is all done. It's so cute. I am very tired. And we have so many errands to run today that I might go back to bed. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I'm very sleepy. So I don't know what else to talk about. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys next video.